Here I am, I have come to do your will. Prophecy and fulfillment. The Bible is a tapestry of prophecies that unveil God's divine plan for humanity. One of the profound prophecies is found in Psalm 40 verses 6 to 8, where the psalmist expresses a deep desire to do God's will and obedience to his commands. This prophecy reaches its fulfillment in the New Testament, in Hebrews 10 verses 5 to 10, where the writer declares the obedience and sacrifice of Jesus Christ, who comes to fulfill God's will and offer himself as the perfect sacrifice for the redemption of humanity. Psalm 40 verses 6 to 8. The prophecy. Psalm 40 is a psalm of thanksgiving and praise, expressing the psalmist's reliance on God and his deliverance. In verses 6 to 8, the psalmist declares, "Sacrifice and offering you did not desire, but my ears you have opened, burnt offerings and sin offerings you did not require. Then I said, Here I am, I have come. It is written about me in the scroll. I desire to do your will, my God, your law is within my heart." In this prophecy, the psalmist expresses a desire to obey God's will wholeheartedly, acknowledging that God's true desire is not in ritual sacrifices, but in a heart surrendered to Him. The psalmist foreshadows the coming of the one who will perfectly fulfill God's will, offering himself as the ultimate sacrifice to bring redemption and salvation. Hebrews 10 verses 5 to 10. The fulfillment. In the New Testament book of Hebrews, the fulfillment of Psalm 40 verses 6 to 8 is illuminated. In Hebrews 10 verses 5 to 10, the writer quotes the psalmist's words, highlighting that they ultimately refer to Jesus Christ. In verses 5 to 7, it is written, "Therefore, when Christ came into the world, he said, Sacrifice and offering you did not desire, but a body you prepared for me. With burnt offerings and sin offerings you were not pleased. Then I said, Here I am, it is written about me in the scroll, I have come to do your will, my God." The fulfillment of the prophecy is realized in Jesus, who, as the Son of God, came into the world to fulfill God's will. He willingly offered his body as the perfect sacrifice, putting an end to the need for continual sacrifices under the Old Covenant. Jesus' obedience and sacrifice bring about the New Covenant, offering forgiveness and eternal redemption for all who believe in him. Teachings and day-to-day applications. The prophecy in Psalm 40 verses 6 to 8 and its fulfillment in Hebrews 10 verses 5 to 10 carry profound teachings and applications for believers. Christ's obedience and sacrifice. The fulfillment emphasizes the obedience and sacrifice of Jesus Christ. His willingness to do God's will and offer himself as a sacrifice demonstrate his love for humanity and God's redemptive plan. A heart surrendered to God. The prophecy and fulfillment call believers to surrender their hearts to God, seeking to do his will above all else. Obedience to God's commands is of greater value than ritual sacrifices. The New Covenant. The fulfillment reveals the establishment of the New Covenant through Jesus' sacrifice. Believers now have direct access to God's forgiveness and salvation through faith in Christ. Redemption and forgiveness. The fulfillment highlights the significance of Jesus' sacrifice in providing redemption and forgiveness for sins. Believers are set free from the burden of sin through his atoning work. Walking in obedience. The prophecy and fulfillment call believers to follow the example of Jesus, walking in obedience to God's will and seeking to live a life that pleases him. In day-to-day life, the understanding of this prophecy and its fulfillment challenges believers to live in alignment with God's will. It inspires us to walk in obedience and to offer our lives as living sacrifices to God. Moreover, it reminds us of the depth of Christ's love and sacrifice, encouraging us to share the message of God's redemption and forgiveness with others. Conclusion. The prophecy in Psalm 40 verses 6 to 8, expressing a heart willing to do God's will, finds its ultimate fulfillment in Jesus Christ, as revealed in Hebrews 10 verses 5 to 10. This remarkable fulfillment underscores Jesus' obedience and sacrificial love, offering redemption and forgiveness for all who believe in him. As believers, we rejoice in the fulfillment of this prophecy, finding hope and assurance in the perfect sacrifice of Christ. May we continually seek to follow his example, surrendering our hearts to God's will, and sharing the message of his redeeming love with the world around us.